Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Meg. Welcome to my home in Philadelphia. I can't wait to show you around. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Scan the QR code to subscribe to our new channel, Weddingworthy, where we celebrate amazing couples and the love stories behind their perfect day.
Hi, my name is Meg Rodgers. I'm an interior designer. Welcome to my home here in Philadelphia. I moved in when I married my husband in 1994, and we lived in a studio apartment, which is now our guest suite, which is behind me on the other side of that wall. We had our first child in 1998, and at that time we bought the unit that we're sitting in, which we then connected to the rental unit where we lived. In 2004, we adopted a little girl from China. At that time, we started to look at other places to move to. We looked all over the building. We wrote to people here in the towers to see who else maybe had combined units or that we could combine. I was able to purchase another unit on the floor that wasn't connected, and then eventually we were able to purchase the one that connected all of them. So that was 2006 or 7, and we started our construction at that time, and we moved in 2009 approximately. So this is an IMPay designed building, and it was originally designed as Section 8 housing, believe it or not. But the construction materials it was very well done, very simply, but well done. So things that we did that are not typical in the building, we gutted all of the apartments, we ripped up the floors, we went down to bare concrete for everything. We installed cork floors that we stained very dark. And then all of the raceways that are under the windows, which carry all the wiring and the convectors, we stripped them back to their original bronze material. So it gave the envelope a deep color foundation to be able to place all of our collection and furnishings. The biggest move that we made was to capture the hallway, which you can see later when you tour the unit, that the bedrooms are typically all up against the windows. And because we purchased the unit that takes up the entire east side of the building, we moved the bedrooms to be adjacent to the bathrooms and then capture that hallway. So we have a clear shot north-south. And it really expands your sense of space. And the kids' rooms that are tucked in there have sliding glass, Japanese tea house inspired doors that have glass in them. So they have light that's in there, but they could be tucked away in there. And it gave us this really nice circulation. So a couple of architectural things in here. When we did these renovations, the kitchen used to be here, and this is a gas line that runs all the way through the building. So in order for us to move the kitchen to where a bedroom had been, we needed to leave that gas line. This is a Nakashima table. So again, another dream of mine to own a piece of Nakashima's work. These are Carl Abach candlesticks. I have quite a few of his pieces. Absolutely love his bookends, candlesticks. I have some lamps that you'll see later. These are also Wharton Esherick prints, another dream of mine to be able to own some of these pieces. Lots of eclectic objects on here from various places. This piece has a Bennett bean pot, and it has an interesting story. I'll try to keep it brief. When I left my first husband and I separated, he called me and said, something really horrible happened. You're going to be really upset. I can't tell you on the phone. You have to come over and I have to show you. Well, our cats had been running around and broke this piece, and it was in a million pieces, and he had it in a shoebox. And I couldn't look at it. So for years, I just mourned it, and I had it in a box. And I then met him at a show, and I told him the story about how it had been the most expensive thing I had ever purchased in my life, and it took me a year to pay for it. And I think it was only $400, but at the time I was a struggling woodworker. And he said, "Send it to me, I'll put it back together for you." So this is how he put it back together. These are traditional woodworking techniques, these butterflies, but he used it in his pottery, and I think it's even more fabulous than it was originally. The other architectural thing I wanted to point out is we dropped the ceiling here in this dining and kitchen area. We needed light. In the living room, I had explained we left the ceiling concrete and we have no downlights, but we needed light in the kitchen and the dining area. So we have this dropped ceiling that has a really interesting beveled edge. And then on some of the areas, there's track hidden and tucked in there so that we can light art on the wall because we can't get lighting into the concrete ceiling. So this allowed us to get some lighting into these areas in an architectural way that we were happy with. So our dining chairs are all different. They are antique side chairs, and we just started collecting them. I think the 4 original came from my husband's mother, if I remember correctly, and I happened to have a couple. So we ended up staining all the seats red to give them just a fresh take, and we have 6 or 8 more that I have in a home office across the hall, but we have a second one of these tables, and we can put both tables together and have this big boat-shaped table with all the chairs around it, which allows us to have more of a banquet table, which is great. So we are now in the great room, living room area, and area where we spend time alone, we spend time entertaining. It's used for all kinds of things. The screen at the end of the room is a copy of an Edgar Brandt metal screen from 1924. I didn't remember. I knew I recognized it when I bought it at auction, but later on I saw it in a book and was quite pleased to know that that was what it's a copy of. It's just, we just love the colors, and it influenced a lot of the colors that we have in here. We have Asian antique bookshelves where we have a lot of our book collections. The couches, there are 2 of them that book match on each side of the room. And these I designed to be a specific size and height that worked within the room. Our pillows are Kevin O'Brien. He's a friend and a local artisan as well. I think nowadays most everyone knows who Kevin O'Brien is for his pillows and fabrics and bedding. We have a bar that we designed here that we absolutely love and use all the time. And we decided to paint the interior different colors. So this side is green. I have a huge collection of Russell Wright glassware, these bubble glasses. And these glasses I brought back from Istanbul a couple years ago. This side we painted yellow. So it's just fun. They match the glasses, and when we open them up, it gives us a little bit more entertainment. These are Roman Thomas sconces. And this artwork is made from a book cutout. The artist carves into the book and then reveals certain imagery from the book, so it becomes a 3-dimensional piece, which is very cool. We have swivel chairs here, so we can watch movies or talk to someone on the chaises. But that's a great way for us to entertain. More Karl Abach candlesticks. We have some Karl Abach bookends over here, food dogs. Some of these pieces, as I said, we brought back from China when we went to adopt our daughter. These little pieces are Loza, I think his last name, but love this little collection of art. And then he also made a sculpture that we have over here on this bookshelf behind the bamboo shades, this piece here. This is also a piece of his that we use on this bookshelf, but love the 3-dimensional quality of that. This is a Donald Sultan and Mamet book that I change the pages on a regular basis, so we read it throughout the week, and then I'll start over at the beginning of the week. This is a Chinese coffee table. I've actually owned this for a very long time. We had this previously, and it fit perfectly into our home. This is where we read the most. We sit here often early in the morning when the light is great. And this is my chair, and that's my husband's. And we're very specific about that because that's where our collections are. But it's just a really comfortable place to sit. And this scale of this is perfect. And you'll see when we get to the other side, the scale of the coffee table is significantly larger, but it does afford us that stretch of space for people to put things down. People sit and eat there, drink there. It's very used, very loved. Nothing's precious. So we're going to move to the other half, but in the middle, we have a pair of Hans Wagner daybed chaises. So we watch, if we're alone or if my daughter or my son and I want to watch a movie, we sit right here. I can move them up so I can have a higher view. Or when we have all the kids home and they have all their friends here, these become beds for 2 or 3 people. These are root tables. So these are carved from a single root. We have 4 of those. We work with a Asian dealer here in Philadelphia, and she's just amazing. So a lot of what I have here, we have purchased from her. On this side, our coffee table is twice the size as the other side, and this is a daybed with a beautiful woven top. But this also gets reconfigured all the time. We have different books out. When we entertain, we'll take some things away and have food on here. But again, people can put things down. It's not precious. People have spilled on here. It's very lived in and loved. Candles everywhere. As I said, we light this room by candlelight. We have our son's baseball mitt. I think he came home one day and put it there, and it was his older mitt, and we just left it because it just represents, it's a piece of art. Again, the same couch and pillows that we have there. On this side, I have a small sculpture by an artist named Clark Fitzgerald, who was from my hometown in Maine. And he's the man that I interned when I was trying to figure out what to major in after dropping 2 of my intended majors. And working with him and doing sculpture with him really helped me to realize that I loved working with wood and metal. And that's when I transferred to be a furniture maker. So when he passed away, his children allowed me to purchase some of these pieces. So I have a few things here and in Maine. This is an Edward Wormley table. These are Edward Wormley slipper chairs that are here. And then we have another pair of the Asian lamps with the woven bamboo. Candlesticks here are different. This is a yard sale. These are Baccarat. This is Carl Springer. These were made by an artist as a gift to me. These were my client that I mentioned earlier when their children asked if I wanted some of the things. This is another pair of food dogs. And I picked things that I remembered buying with her. It was a memorable moment, and so that was meaningful to me to have things of hers. You'll see we have lots of animal influenced objects and books, and I actually do read a lot of these. This has all my movie stuff in it. There's actually a DVD player in here and a subwoofer. This is custom made to be part of the audio setup because we needed that. And orchids, I think that's another thing. You'll see we have a lot of orchids. I have another apartment across the hall that I use as a home office and a swing space. So when these orchids die down, we put them across the hall and they come back. So we almost have our own little greenhouse, and we don't often have to purchase new orchids. So we keep them here. They just thrive in the space, which we just love. So we chose to do a sisal carpet in here that really covers almost the whole floor, but it really allows you to experience this as a single room and not separate rooms. And it's not terribly expensive. So we've actually replaced this once already in our time living here. It doesn't break the bank to be able to do that. So we feel like we can keep it fresh and we can get a new one and it's okay, but it's very practical, and it lets everything else pop without the rug being the decorative patterned object in the room. Everything except for the couches and the 2 swivel chairs back here is vintage, antique, a lot of Asian things, some of which we owned, other things we collected. The couches are custom designed for the space to be the right size, the right height. And we have no ceiling light in this room. It's a concrete ceiling, so we left it alone. So it's actually a room that we live in candlelight. When we entertain here, it's very warm and very, it's candlelit. We also have a screen, movie screen that comes down right here in front of the window, and a projector that's tucked in to the back of a kitchen cabinet at the other side of the room. And it's great because everyone can see and we can all, move around, and the candlelight is very, warm and inviting. I just love coming home. I think I come in the door and I feel like I'm in another world. I don't care what the weather is. It can be windy and gray like today, but our views are unbelievable, and you never have the same thing going on outside. Our cats always add another little element, so it's fun to come home and see how they use the space and tiptoe around all of the things that are here. It's always been a very social home, and we've always had our kids' friends here. I'd come in and the whole baseball team would be sleeping on the couches in here. So I just love that people use every single room. So now we're going towards the kitchen, and I wanted to point out this piece of art here. This was at Modern Gallery, which is also a world-renowned gallery here in Philadelphia, and friends of ours. This was made by a woodworking student who would have been in college in the 70s at the same time that I was, but he was at RISD, and I went to Philadelphia College of Art to the crafts department. But this would have been the projects when you were learning how to use the tools and how you could create patterns. This would have been done on a table saw. This would have been done on a drill press. This could have been hand carved in here, or possibly an overhead router. So I love how he made it into a sculpture, and it reminds me of the training I went through and learning how to use the tools and the kinds of things that you could do. I just think it's amazing. And we framed it. It was just on a panel. And actually, I think Bob Abel, who owns Modern, just had it sitting on a table, and I saw it and immediately picked up on what it was. So that's one of my favorite pieces. So here is our kitchen. We have 2 peninsulas, I would say, not really islands. And again, we use this kitchen all the time. We sit over here. We have the cook's area here, so we can be out of each other's way. All of our we have no upper cabinets. Everything's tall and hidden. We don't like to have a lot of things out in the kitchen. I think the cork floor here is a great advantage because people do drop things, and we almost never break anything because it just lands softly on the cork, which is great. We chose to do 2 different countertops, stainless steel here because this is where the sink is and where we dry dishes, and we needed something that was very functional. On this side, we wanted wood because it's where we sit, and we also wanted something, just didn't see marble or granite or a cold surface. We wanted something warm and comfortable. And we do refinish it. We oil it every couple of years, so it's probably due for a good oil. One of our woodworkers made this, and I wanted these finger joints, which is a traditional woodworking detail. So that detail on the end was something that we incorporated. The stools that we have are Nakashima stools. Again, one of my favorite woodworkers. And one of the things that's really perfect about them is that they're low, and they don't really get in your way. They tuck in, and they're actually very comfortable. We do have 4 of them because we are a family of 4, but one is broken at the moment. But that's something we absolutely love. These are dishes, again, an interesting story. When my parents bought a cottage on a lake in Maine, there were several of these dishes, and there was one bowl and a pitcher. And I loved these dishes since I was a little kid, and I used to walk around and use just these dishes, and my mother would find the room, and here's the pitcher. And when they were much older and they started to realize they were going to want to allow, the kids to have certain things, my mother packed them up and sent them to me and said, here, you've always loved these, you can have these. And so I started collecting them. And they're called Melbourne. They're a British make, and they're brown transferware, but it's a Japanese pattern that is absolutely beautiful. So I have lots and lots of them now in this cabinet. Lots of bowls and different things. So we use them. We don't keep them hidden. And we have also another set of dishes that are Russell Wright, so they coordinate with our glasses. And those are this color. We have a few, but these go with the glasses that you saw earlier. We have others in other colors, but buried underneath. But we can get a lot of storage in here, which I like that you're not seeing all that. But it actually, the cabinets, the dishes pull out, so you can get to things easily. So now we're coming down this hallway I spoke of earlier that we created this. This would have been the end of the bedroom. We moved the bedrooms over so that they're en suite with the bathrooms. So this is our daughter's room. And she's still around. She's in college close by, so she comes home often and uses this room. She has her collage of photos, her fashion stuff. This is all stuff that she did herself. So here we did step lighting. We wanted this to really feel almost like you were outside. You're at the tea house and the rooms are beyond, but we have step lights here and these Alison Berger sconces, which we still absolutely love. And everywhere, and I didn't always mention this everywhere, we have the shade pockets up above. So in some places we couldn't get them up into the ceilings because we hadn't dropped them. So we created these pockets so that we could have blackout for them. This is our son's room. And here we gave him a bunk bed so that it was just the best way to lay out his room. So this is a Japanese tansu stair that we used as his stair going up there, and that also gives him lots of storage. And he has a red chest, and then these were embroidered cars that his grandmother made for my husband when he was a child. So those are very meaningful to us. And our cat, Holly, lives up here on this bunk bed because she likes to be able to watch everybody. So that's where she is. And he's a baseball player, so we have all his many baseballs. And somewhere else in here, you'll see his books are all about baseball. He's got his baseball bat there in the corner. I think when you come in the door, it's not what you would expect. You have a tight entrance that then opens up to a very bright, and you see there's so much view, so much perspective. So I think when, the idea is that you come into a narrower space that's very cozy and inviting, and then it really opens up. I mean, I always like when people just are stunned by the objects and the things that we have, and they get very interested and ask questions and want to know where something came from. I don't think that there aren't that many things that are recognizable in today's world, but oftentimes they wouldn't know that the candlesticks over there are by Carl Springer. They're not common pieces that you would know were designed by a particular artist or artisan. So this is our den, and it's also where I have my largest collection of animal portraits. Many of them are our pets, but not all of them. But I try to collect things that look like they were someone's beloved pet that had a name. We have the whole wall there. Many of these, this was my dog here, and this was one of my cats. So a lot of these are very personal here. And also the wall unit here, there's a desk here that comes down. We have a printer in here. We've got all our games in here. So this room would be more of a family room to be used. I have all my cat books here, dog books, horse books, history. These National Geographics are from my parents, and they go back to 1953, which is the year I was born. So we have all those, and then we get National Geographic, so we've added to it. But I actually do refer to them sometimes. I'll try to look up a piece of history, and I'll go to 1964 and find the month, or sometimes you'll find some amazing stories in there. But it's just stuff that we like and keep. And then this is more of my horse wall here. And these were my horses. These two, I had someone paint them. And that is my sister and I on our horses. So a lot of very personal things. And just as I find them, again, I rearrange this wall, or I find a way to add something. So when I bought these little pieces, which I have 3 of, I just had to find ways to fit them in. I brought these paper mache masks back from Stockholm last year, I think. So somehow I'm going to run out of space, or I think I maybe am out of space, but somehow I find a way to fit the stuff in. But, not all important stuff. These are just little toys, but I think they're something I had as a kid, so I kept them and I get to enjoy them. These are my husband started his career at Venturi's office and did a lot of the drawings for the ones that have the pattern on them. The grandmother chair, I think they're called. But we have 2. We have this one and we have a black one. We have these chairs, this rosewood trunk we love because we can have all the linens for the bed in it and be able to use that as a sleep sofa. These are Carl Albach table lamps that are here. And this rug is from Rug & Company, and it's stitched together hides. So you can actually see here this is just skin. There's no fur left on it because this is how everybody comes into the room, whereas in some of the other areas or underneath, you can see it's still hide. So this room, which is on the north side of the apartment, this was the kids' playroom and then their family room, entertainment room, but we turned this into my husband's office once they had both moved out of the house. And so he has his truck collection in here, and he works from home quite often, and his book collection, just along with a lot. And we've kept a lot of the kids' things in here that we wanted to continue to live with, some of their art projects and some of their books. And this is also the cats' area. We have their feeding down here and a lot of the other things. So we have art low, so they get to enjoy some artwork. So this is all for them. And then you'll come down here. It's the rear entrance to the apartment. And this is our family photo gallery, which again gets changed up from time to time. So we have the kids' portraits. My mom was a model, so those are her shots. And just lots of great, fun family photos. This is a portfolio that I purchased of these photographs. I have quite a few of them, but these are all of Venice. And again, we love Italy. We have a home in Italy, so we love seeing all of that. And now we're coming into our primary suite. This used to be a 1-bedroom apartment, and this is the one that I purchased before we were able to get the others, and then we connected them. So this was the former kitchen in here. It's my husband's dressing room. And then this was a bathroom and a closet and various things. So we turned this into our bathroom. So we have a big soaking tub that we actually use all the time in here. So this is, and it's nice. We have, our dressing rooms are off the bathroom, so convenient. And we have pocket doors for everything. So we can close the door if someone else is asleep. Can do that. This is our television, but it's behind a sliding panel that slides up when you want to watch TV. And this was also done by the artist who did our powder room mural. Again, this is water and mountains. So similar scenic things that we've collected, things that are meaningful to us, our books. So for our bedside table, it's a Roman Thomas wood bed. It's a Ron Man floor lamp. And I have a Chinese desk that I do sit here and write, or in the mornings, oftentimes I want to sit and just take some notes if I'm on a call. So it's just a quick way to do that. Some family portraits, a moonstone. This is a painting by William Smith. And we have a couple of other paintings of his as you enter. But, you know, we just wanted this room to be very calm, very serene. The walls are a Venetian plaster with a metallic in them. So they just have a really beautiful, warm glow to them. This painting I purchased at an antique dealer probably 30 years ago, and I've kept it with me forever. It reminds me of our lake. It's very much the view. So it's that comforting kind of view. This piece was from Wexler Gallery. I know the artist's first name, Jenny. I think her last name is Basile. These are Holly Hunt chairs and ottomans, a Edward Wormley triangular table, Roman Thomas ceiling lamp, and the millwork, the custom millwork, this TV unit, all the millwork that you've seen, I designed. It's all custom work that was done in our shop. So again, I can close these doors if I'm in here and don't want to disturb my husband. Have a nice sized dressing room, and as you can tell, I'm a collector, so I keep things. So I have a lot of things that I've had for a long time, but it's nice to have this nice big window in my dressing room. And then I'll give you a little peek into my husband's dressing room. This little piece right here was in our old apartment, and this is the wall that we took out that has all the kids' heights, you know, and ours. So I think our son might be he's at the top now. I did not know that I wanted to be an interior designer, and I got into it really through a back door. As a teenager, I wanted to be a fashion designer. I wanted to have my own boutique. I thought that that's what I would do. I intended to be a fashion design major when I went to college, and did an introductory course and decided that I really could not go through that kind of a academic, structured program. I think when you're 19, you think you know more than you do. So I changed my major to textile design, also was not happy with that. And eventually, through a process of working with a mentor who was a sculptor, I decided to major in furniture making, because I realized that what I really enjoyed was working with my hands, but working with customers. I wasn't inclined to be a fine artist. I liked solving someone's problem. So I was a woodworker. I have a degree in woodworking. I had a very large woodworking business for over a decade. And in the late 80s, I ran into financial difficulties with the crash. And I closed my woodworking business and opened the interior design business, because at that point I owned my building. I had quite a few liabilities, and I had some opportunities that had come in from a show house that I did. So it was unexpected. I hadn't really thought that's where I would head, but it's become a very successful business and something that I enjoy and love doing, but was not ever my intended career. Movies are a huge inspiration for me. I spend a significant amount of time watching movies. I rewatch movies. So I think it's how I traveled up until I was 40 years old. I had never been to Europe, which is surprising because now I have traveled all over the world. But before then, I really traveled through film and would do the research if I had a project coming up and if I wanted it to have a particular style and character. I spent my time watching films. I would freeze them. I would sketch from that. I would say that's probably my biggest inspiration. I keep up. Now I do the shows and I go to all of that and see what other people are doing. But early in my career, that was really not. It wasn't as accessible as it is now as well. There are more showrooms, more artists that are being represented in galleries where you can see their work, but I would say movies. Here we are in the entry of my home, And we have quite a few things that mean a lot to us here. I have a Wharton Esherick table, which was a dream come true for me to be able to purchase this. He's a renowned woodworker, and as a woodworker, being able to own one of his pieces was amazing. These are Lou Kahn painting and drawing. My husband is an architect, so for him, these are his prized possessions. And then this is a collection. It's the woodblock print collection from the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Has a Wasselman, a Chuck Close. So just love these, the scale and the collection and just the eclectic nature of that. These are foo dogs. And these I purchased for clients of mine, beloved clients. I did 2 homes for them. They eventually passed away, but I worked for their children as well. And they asked me if I wanted any of their things before they claimed them themselves or sent them to auction. So there are several objects around our apartment that I took, and it always reminds me of my clients. And they were one of my very first interior design clients. So they're very special to me. The mirror I purchased at auction. It's parchment, and I just love the scale, and it has a lot of age and wear and tear, which is perfect. These are plaster sconces. I'm forgetting at the moment who the artisan is, but a well-known French designer. We always have an arrangement here, which makes us very happy to come home to. We have a Metropolitan MoMA Museum collection. It's called the Rubber Stamp Collection, and I think it was from the 70s, but an amazing collection of well-known artists. There's a Wasselman, a Chuck Close. There's an Agnes Martin around the corner, which is part of this collection. So those are all things that I just love to collect and live with and come home to. There's a painting here that is great. This artist, his first name is Dries Awandi, I think is the name. I can get you the correct name. And it reminded me of the building. It is a painting, a very abstract painting of a building. And I bought that for my husband for Christmas one year. I thought he would love that. So that's also a special piece to us. So now we're leaving the entryway and we're going into, it's a hallway, we call it the gallery. These drawings most of them are my husband's, and there are 2 areas, this one and the other little index card sketches and notes are his partner. They're a very accomplished architecture firm, and these are sketches and works they did when in Rome and for some of their projects. So we change this around from time to time. He has more of these. Sometimes these go out on exhibit, or they do some kind of a thing for their students, and they might take them out. So I have to redo this wall quite frequently, but it keeps it interesting. And we have it on an art hanging system, which allows me to do that purposefully. This was, by the way, the original corridor that led through the other apartments, so that the bedrooms, which you'll see later, were to the right and the bathrooms would have been to the left, but we switched the corner to be along the window wall. So this is a dead-end corner that goes to the powder room. So at the end of the hallway, we have our powder room. And this room, again, is very Asian-inspired, but it's a silk mural that we had an artisan friend make. And this is based on our travels when we were in China to adopt our daughter. We went up the Li River, and we have many photographs and books and imagery from that. So we gave all that to him, and he did sketches, and it was a very collaborative process. So it's just very meaningful to all of us for that trip. We have an antique chest that we turned into a vanity, and a Rocky Mountain vessel sink that we love that looks like a flower. This little slot that's here is actually the air conditioning slot, because we didn't want to see anything that was visible. So that was a clever way to do that. Further in the room, we have a lantern. Half of it is antique, and the other part was made by a local woodworker, so that I had a taller piece, but it's the decorative light fixture in the room and the collections that are on there. The wainscoting is all custom made, but it gave us that. Usually I like to have things lower, but in here for some reason I wanted it I wanted the balance to be a little different. It just felt like the right thing in terms of scale. So one of our favorite rooms. And here we are at the entrance to the great room, but it's really the end of the gallery. We have a piece by an artist, Suki. I'm blanking on her last name at the moment. She was a student at the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts and just loved the three-dimensionality and the light, and that you could interpret it as different things. And then this piece of art here is a digital artwork that was created by my husband's client, who he built a beautiful home for. It's the imagery switch is, I can't remember how many thousands and thousands of images are in there, but it's never the same. And there are times I come home and there's an image on there that I've never seen before, because you can't possibly see them all in your time walking by. So we just love that it's not static, and when you come in, you feel like you're seeing something different. They're all from trains. So this would have been something on the side of a train. Home means family and friends a lot. It means where I can recharge. It's a place where I get more energy. I am a pretty high-strung person. I don't sleep a lot. I stay up late, and I like being at home. My mother used to say when I was young that I used every single room in the house, and it would annoy her, and I would tell her, well, the light here is nice in the morning and the light here is nice in the afternoon, and so I use different rooms, and I do the same thing here. I spend time in every room, but at different times of the day. Homeworthy, it was so much fun to have you here today, but it's time to go, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.